In this video here, we're gonna go one step beyond what we did in the last video, where we showed how we go implement or write out basic text. Here we are now going to provide some structure to it, like headers. So I already have a file open. I'm gonna make it into a Markdown cell, and the way to make headers is very simple. We can use the hashtag symbol and space. You want to see when we do the hashtag, it turns to a different color. It's almost like a kind of a code that tells us we start with a hashtag, then whatever comes on that is going to be a header format. So this is, let's call this a main header, and execute it by, remember, Shift Enter, and we now see that this is a different format than the plain text we had before. So let's go back up to the main header here, say main header, and say here is our main header, or title if you wish, and type it out. Now you get to see the difference that we now have a solid, not a solid color, of course it's solid, but something looks bold and larger than the regular or the main text. So let's go in the next cell, take it into Markdown as well. The way we can structure our text is with a main header, but we can also have subheaders or subtitles or subsections if you wish. And for that we just use a double hashtag for the next level. So this is a sub header, and then say here is more text. See what happens then. Now you can notice that it's slightly smaller. We get to keep doing this here. We can do a triple hashtag. That's a sub header. We could do a quadruple or 4 hashtags. That's a sub header. Now we start getting into that kind of format in our documents. We should probably question ourselves if we need to restructure it differently. But definitely have a main header, subheader, and subheaders, or a main section, a subsection, subsection, or something we could definitely encounter in a properly formatted document. So if I type, not type, but hit Shift Enter, execute it, we can now see the different sizes in these headers. So that's how we make titles and subtitles, or sections, main sections, subsections, or main header, whatever you want to call them, inside the Jupyter Markdown box. I want to point out now that change this new cell here into Markdown as well, that Jupyter Markdown, or this text formatting, follow HTML rules. So for those of you guys that are familiar with HTML programming, you may find that a lot of those commands translate into the Jupyter Markdown cell. So for example, for a header, if I have my first header is the less than symbol, H1, stands for header 1, end it, and then I can say here comes the text, main header, and to end it, it is the less than slash H1, and then greater than. Let's try and execute that. Now you can see that looks exactly the same as before. So these are two different ways of making these subtitles. You can say, well, what happens if I need a subheader and I want to use this HTML? Let's go back up to this cell, the previous cell we had here, the Markdown cell, and just make a new line here. I can do actually, let me just do a copy and paste. That's sometimes a little bit quicker. So copy and paste. If I want a subheader, I simply call it H2. So I change the 1 by 2. I can do a subheader by calling it 3. So let's try and execute this by Shift Enter and see how it looks like. Here you go. Same style. Oh, not main header. It's going to be a subheader, and this is going to be a subheader. Here we go. Okay, So now you can see this is exactly the same as before. So you can choose whatever you want to. I think it's easiest approach is to use the hashtags. But if you're very fluent in HTML, then you might find that to be easier. But this is how we can structure using headers. So now we know how to make headers, we know how to write normal text. So we can actually write some basic essays or summaries. Some of the assignments we'll see in our classes typically where you, some of the assignments, you may watch a documentary, a science documentary, and you have to write an essay about a documentary. And now you have pretty much all the tools to do that.